Welcome to the Saddle Talk Podcast, where country living meets real talk. Authentic stories, meaningful interviews, and down-to-earth wisdom with a little Southern charm. Saddle up! All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Saddle Talk Podcast, where we talk about life, health, strength, and what is possible when we look beyond the noise. Today, I have another special guest on today, and I am excited. I actually was scrolling through LinkedIn and saw that she was a fellow Tuskegean, so I read her bio, and I was like, you know what? I need to bring her on because she has a lot of fascinating things that's on her LinkedIn page that I was interested in, and I think you all will be interested in as well. So joining me today is Victoria Pittman. She is a certified transformational life coach who focuses on dating and relationships. Now that should get your attention right there. Told you it's going to be good. She empowers women to shatter limitations and magnetize love and success. Now, Victoria's journey is pretty fascinating. She has a degree from Tuskegee, hey Tuskegee, and in finance, and she crushed it in the banking industry in Charlotte, leading teams and rocking risk management. So I don't want to give too much of it away because I want her to talk about and brag on herself. She is from Tuskegee, and Tuskegee always promotes excellence. So without further ado, Victoria, welcome to the show. Finally, we've been trying to put this together for a minute now.
Yes. Well, I'm happy to be here, Travis. Thank you so much for inviting me to your wonderful platform. I've been enjoying all the guests, so I'm happy to be one of them. So I appreciate this.
Well, no, I appreciate you taking time out of your I'm pretty sure, busy and productive schedule to join me and the audience today. So tell me your story. I mean, how did you go from banking to being a life coach? I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, so, I would say it all kind of started probably somewhere around 2013. I was trying to figure my own life out, right? Like
Gotcha.
my life was kind of dating life was kind of like this. I
Right.
wasn't really feeling fulfilled. And so I kind of started on a journey myself. But what really kind of took me there is, during the pandemic, I
Mm-hmm.
was really thinking about, what is it that I really wanted to do with all the different skills that I had? I was talking with my sister and she's like, figure that out, right? And so I got exposed to coaching through a friend of mine and she was going to school for it. She coached me and I was like, I love this. Um, and so I actually went and pursued it myself. I found a school. I talked to the folks, and I just felt like that was the right thing for me to do. So while I'm in my corporate career, I
Mm-hmm.
actually took time out to go get a certification, and it took me about a year.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm actually in school, self-study, along with weekends, going to school for coaching and being coached, having a coaching group, having a master coach. It was pretty intense. And
Really?
so
Okay.
so I knew that was what I really wanted to do. And so I just had to kind of prepare for it while I'm doing my corporate career.
So let me ask you a question. So why are you going to school and you're doing coaching? Going to school and getting certified for coaching. So what made you, instead of like coaching in your profession in banking, what
Yeah,
made you go into the style of coaching that you do? Because a lot of times people, you have
work from
coaches that
home.
come into like, big corporate businesses and, they
Yeah.
do all these, motivational speaking and,
Mhm.
they help, solve problem solving and things like that.
Yeah, so I had to look at myself, right? What is it that
Mhm,
I really love talking about, right? It was
mhm,
talking about fulfillment and finding like what my purpose was, and I also love
gotcha.
talking about men, right? And
Huh?
so having those conversations with different women, and so when I'm listening to women's stories like all my life, right?
Mhm,
And I'm hearing some of the same patterns. I'm like, okay, we all want to find some type of success and we all want to find love. And that's what interests me. So I studied relationships even as a kid. Like, how do I have a
wow.
relationship with myself? myself? How do I have a relationship with God? How do I have a relationship with, my parents? And so I would just study these things on my own. And so when I got to studying about how to have a relationship with men, it just really took to me, right? How to
Mhm.
have a relationship with the opposite sex. How do you
Mhm.
build those connections? Because we're two different beings. And so that's what I loved. I loved
Mhm.
connection. I loved relationships. That's what I love talking about. The banking career gave me stability, but did I
Right.
love it? Not really. I mean, it was something that gave me some good money.
Right, yeah, it's funny you say that because, finding your purpose. I did one episode where a gentleman was like, you find your purpose in your pain. So a lot of times, but finding your purpose, that is something that, I think a lot of people are still trying to do, because I know a lot of people that, well, of course, we both graduated from Tuskegee, and there are a lot of people who graduate from there and they might have good jobs and they might be doing really, really well, but they're like, I this is not really what I want to do or anything like that, man. So that takes a lot of fortitude to, be somewhere for like 20 years and being successful in what you do to just like, you know what, I'm just going to take a whole like U-turn and it's time to like step out on faith and just do what I need to do. And I think that's why a lot of people get depressed or
Mhm.
where they're unhappy because they're not listening to their inner voice. And their inner voice, in my opinion, is God telling you, this is what the path I have for you. But if you keep fighting it or whatever, you're gonna be miserable doing stuck what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Right. But here's the thing. Let me tell you a
Hmm.
little thing about me is, I remember when, I had a really rough year. It was like my
Hmm.
dad died,
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
my
that.
church, that's okay. Like my church community disbanded. Shoot, my mama got sick. It was like
Wow.
everything that could go wrong went wrong. Like I had just bought a house and lost a job.
Mm.
And so, through all of that, I just kind of sat when I was taking care of my mom, I sat quietly with myself and, God spoke to me and he told me that, hey, because I was out of work, I was taking care of my mom, caregiving, and he says, you got to go back to corporate because I was tired of it I was only doing it for 2 years. I was
Right.
tired of it because I was young. And he says, part of your life you're going to have to do corporate America because there's things that I need to teach you there. But the other part
Mm.
of your life, you're going to be on your own platform. And I said,
Right.
wow, okay, well, I'm ready for that part now.
Right. Yeah, I know we all are. We all are. Everybody's ready for the finish line.
Right. Exactly. So, I knew this time was going to come. I just didn't know when. So I always was preparing in some type of way or fashion that, that part of my life was going to happen. So, not to say like, I just know. I didn't know when. I just knew it was.
Oh, that's what's up, man. Like sometimes you have to, I always say, like, sometimes you have to be by yourself. Like, well, living by yourself is one thing when it's just you, God, and your voice and your thoughts. And sometimes when you're by yourself, your thoughts can be pretty scary, man, because they force you to step up and you get to see and see the real you, to be honest with you. And a lot of people don't really like to see the real them because, they're so distracted by all their surroundings. But once you settle in and you sit down, and you're by yourself and it's just you and God, and then God forces you to face who you are and what he really wants you to be.
That's
And
it.
sometimes that can be scary because we all have an idea of what we want to be. And if that might not coincide what, God wants, sometimes you can kind of get discouraged and still try to do things your own way. I've been there myself several times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and it's just kind of like, I had the same thing when it came to this platform. I know this is what I'm supposed to do. It was just something that was just like, hey,
Yes.
this is what you need to do, and this you just need to make it happen. Didn't know how I was going to make it happen. I just did it. You know what I mean?
That's
And
right.
it's a learning process as you go. So and when it comes to like relationships, now what is the coaching? What is that about?
So, dating and relationship coaching, so how does it work? So
Yeah,
yeah,
I've to be honest with you, you're the first coach I've ever met or dating. Yes. I mean, I've seen a lot of like dating coaches and things like that on TV, but I've
yeah,
never actually talked to one. So I mean,
right.
like, I got like 1,000 questions.
Well, listen, I got 1,000 answers. Let's go.
So how
Um,
does that work? I mean, like, do people just
yeah.
come to you? What? Yeah,
Okay.
it's the floor is yours.
Okay, so let me first, we got to start off, what is coaching, right?
Okay.
Because a lot of people, don't really know what coaching is. They might think, is
Mhm.
it therapy? Are you a consultant? So coaching is this. What coaching does is it is different from therapy. So what therapy does, especially talk therapy, they're talking about your emotions. They're going really deep into who
Mhm.
you are, why you are, and the emotions behind it, right? With coaching, we might kind of glide there, but our goal is to move you forward with whatever goal you say you want to do. And so we
Mhm.
do that with empowering questions because we know that the answer you have about what you need to do is within, right? And so that's what we do. With consulting is we tell you what to do, right? Hey,
Okay.
here's my framework, do my framework, and you're going to get these types of results. So a peer coach is really helping people transform so that they can get to the goal that they say they want. And
Okay.
so what I do as a dating and relationship coach is I kind of mix coaching with a little bit of consulting. So I'm
Mhm.
coaching you, with things that are blocking you, that's keeping you from your goal. But I also consult a little bit where I want to give you some strategies and some plans because hey, I'm a businesswoman and I'm a
Right.
strategist. So I want to make sure that we get there. Here's something to help you with some frameworks when it comes to finding your fulfillment in your dreams. Here's something to help you with dating and how to connect with men, right?
Mhm.
So I do that too, but I also listen to you. I listen to your stories and then I just listen for things that are blocking you like, "Oh, is that a limiting belief? Is that, an assumption? Are you interpreting this thing wrong?" So I help you change your perspective so that you can move forward. I go to your subconscious and let's plant some new beliefs in there that you can build up so that we can get you towards your goal and you transform to something new. And I do that with dating and relationships.
Mhm. You know what? Okay. So with the mindset of the modern day right now, because like relationships, I feel like now are, I mean, because of social media and things like that.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's different from when we were at Skigi and when we were at high school before the social media
Yeah.
phase came up. I know when you were probably connecting with like a lot of young women and women of all ages, like, what are some of like, the issues or what are some of the
Yeah.
roadblocks or,
Yeah.
obstacles that they have?
So it's different for every woman, right? Because
Mhm.
I've dated, not dated, I've coached
Mhm.
women that might be, in their early 30s to folks who be 60,
Mhm.
So there's a nice little range there. And so
Wow, really?
yeah, so everybody wants love.
Mhm. I didn't
Everybody
know
wants
your range was that broad.
yeah, what I typically who I look for clients, they're folks who are probably mid 30s to, early 50s. But,
Okay.
sometimes I have folks who are a little older. They say, look, hey, I want love too. So I don't discriminate,
Right.
I help. So what I find some of the things that folks are finding is that they'll tell me the dating pool is toxic. It's got
Yeah.
pee in it. It's got everything in it, sharks. It's got all the things, right? And so what essentially help these women build is like you need a dating net, right? So what I do is not only do we work on your mindset,
Right.
but we have to do what are your dating intentions, right? So what is it that you say you want for your relationship, right? Your
Mhm.
relationship goals. Um, what are your dating standards, right? A lot of us just out here dating don't even have no type of standard of
Right.
of
Yeah.
how we're
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
operate. Okay. You
Right.
know, and so we build different parts of that net. I don't want to go deep into it unless you want me to, but I build different parts of that net, your intentions, your standards, your boundaries, and
Mhm.
then I help you with dating competency. Like how do men think, right? How do they communicate? How do women think? How do they communicate? And how do you navigate that? That's like the
That is very important Men and
Mhm.
women do think completely different. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And men, we're not mind readers. We go off of logic. You know what
Right.
I mean? And it's just kind of like, women, I mean, from what I don't want to speak for women, but I think women go off of more of emotion. You
That's
know what I
true.
mean? And it's like, I think sometimes, well, in my opinion, like, I'm just going off of past relationships. It's just kind of like, that logic and that emotion is not connecting. You know what I mean? And I don't even know sometimes if how do you bridge that how do you form that bridge so
Right.
that so that she can understand his logic and he can understand that emotion? Because men are programmed one way and women are programmed one way. You know what I
Right.
mean? And then it's just kind of like, I know a lot of men or whatever, like when it comes to the emotional side, that's kind of like making us look weak, weak, and we don't want to look weak. And
That's
then,
it, Travis. There you go. See, that's an assumption that men are making. That is one of them blocks that
Well,
keep
man, I'm
people
just
on.
saying, like, if we break down and, because we supposed to, well, I'm saying this is what we're taught, that the
Right.
man is the provider. You have to stand on strength. If the house see you crumbling, then, then it just creates a unstableness. So you can't show any of that. Have you ever seen that movie 300, Leonidas, 300?
Seen like clips of it. I don't think I ever listen.
Okay,
I
all
ain't never
right.
seen that
Well,
movie.
watch that watch that movie. So that is how most men are taught to be. I mean, taught like you're the provider, you're the strength. You no weakness, you no emotions or anything like that. Everything is about advancing the kingdom. And when you show emotion, all that just kind of makes you look soft. So most men think like that, you know?
Yeah, and here's the trick. Y'all do are emotional. Look, anger is an emotion, fear is an
Yeah.
emotion too. So
Mm-hmm.
y'all emotional. It's just that
Okay.
y'all don't want to explore the whole emotional wheel. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. And so listen, the answer to your question is how do I kind of bridge the gap? It's
Yeah.
about giving information, right? So just like you
Mm-hmm.
said, men are logical creatures. So I share with women that hey, men's minds are kind of like a file. It you know, they put it in there, they log it. So if you try to bring up something, he not remembering that. That's way in the back, right? A woman's mind is kind of like a supercomputer. Like we remember everything. The sock you had on, that food you ate when you said what you said, and you had on that red shoe. And we remember everything because our minds connect like that, right? And so, so what I do is I said, and I help men with this too that come to me in my DM like I need help, right? But but
Hey,
but the women
everybody needs help. We all need help, man. Man, don't be shy, man. If she can help you, call her up too, man.
listen, I had to create a service called men consultation because of the men that just kind of creeping in the DM like, hey, can you help me too? Um and so but I said is that so if you need, so I tell women, hey, if you need to emote with your friend, right? Get all the emote out, all the crying, all of that, right? And then this is how you need to share what you need to share so you can get results with men,
Mm.
right? So they like we need to, here's how we speak their language, but here's that, right? So like I kind of use like a little sandwich method. Hey, I really appreciate Travis that you did X, Y, and Z for me. I mean, it really touched my heart, XYZ. However, when, this happened, it made me feel, like I wasn't, heard or seen. It's not a big deal, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention as something that could ba 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 ba. Thank you so much.
Mm.
Right? Gave you a little niceness, like, ooh, sugar, right?
Right.
And I corrected it. Not a big deal, right? So you're not stressed out like, oh my gosh, she's trying to do something. And then I kind of, right? So it's basically like, hey, we're just using a logical approach. We're not crying. We're not cussing them out. We've already done all of that with our girlfriend or with your coach, right? Now we're trying to get the man to move in our favor.
Right. So check it out though. Like, so, you said something pretty interesting, like, men, like, go cry with your friends or whatever and stuff. But like the whole sanctity, the whole setup of marriage, the woman is supposed to be the helpmate.
Hmm.
So when you all get married and you all are like that one person or whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
shouldn't you be able to like, express your feelings and
You
with your
should. Now,
the
here's the
with your
key.
woman or whatever, and the woman express everything with the men, because sometimes outside forces can be like water that freezes in a rock and shatters everything, you know?
And so here's the key, right? I think men need to have this as well. I think you need a wise counsel, right? The Bible talks about you can make, many, better plan. I don't know the scripture, but it's talking about with many counselors, you can have really great plans.
Mhm.
So if you have a marriage, making sure you have wise counsel that's not, partial or looking to disrupt your marriage or whatnot. So
Right.
you need people that you can talk to, that you trust, that you can vent to, and that you can release some things with. And so if it's not with friends and family, let it be a therapist, let it be a
Mm.
coach, let it be whatever your wise counsel needs to be. But sometimes before you can bring stuff to your partner, you might need to kind of release. You don't want them to have the full impact of
Oh.
what raw emotion that may be happening. You can give them like after the storm, them brewed and you got it out. You can give them some emotional little cry, but sometimes it's good to kind of, I've thought through it and I want to bring this to you so that we can actually solve it, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, 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 yeah. So basically,
Yeah.
everybody just need to get some punching bags and, like, before
Yeah.
you go talk to your significant other, just get a little punching bag and duke it out a little bit. Then you be ready to go in
Yeah.
there and doing
Yeah, you
that.
need that too. You need a way to just release those emotions. So like you said, punching bag, swimming, walking the dog, do that too. But there's some topics that you may want to vet that through some folks.
Right.
'Cause I've had folks, share with me situations and I'm like, you might have should have put that through a filter before you brought that to that man, but here we are. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
like I don't your mind. That's why he reacted that way. But we
So,
go.
so with some of the relationships, because I mean, like, do you just feel like it's more of a communication problem, or maybe they really just don't like each other? Because like a lot of times, you can meet people and the timing might be good, but you never really get to know them really well, and then it's like after that little 3 month spell is over with, you're like, man, I don't really like this person, but then you kind of attached or whatever. But then, a lot of times people are
Yeah.
afraid to like break up with people or whatever, so then that's when all the problems and all that start or whatever, you know what I mean? So,
Here's what I
like when it
see.
comes to relationships, do you feel like it's just like a miscommunication, or like, what are some of the things that you see a lot of time when people come to you with these issues?
A lot of people don't know who they are,
Mm.
right? So they don't know who they are. They don't know what they want. They just know they want love and they attracted to you. You know what I'm saying? Or them or whatever, right? And so you kind of and don't really have any intention. You don't know what you want. So you just kind of meandering through dating.
Right,
And so
right, right.
you don't know
Dating with no purpose, right?
dating with no purpose, no intentionality, and you don't even know what helps you get fulfilled as a person, right?
Mm.
All of us have requirements that we need, and then there's wants, right? Those are nice to have, but there are needs for you to feel emotionally, physically, spiritually fulfilled in a relationship. And we haven't taken the time out to really know what they are. Like, call them out, right? There's some you may know, like, especially if you're over 35, you know something, right? Because you
Right, right.
had a relationship or two by that point, or a marriage or divorce, ever, right? So you know something, but what I like to do is sit down with clients, like, let's name the thing. Like, what is it? So, like, I have like a sheet where I'm like, here's some of the psychological, sexual, all the things, right?
Mhm.
What is it? So that you can put it on paper so that you can know. And let's find a way to articulate that. Or what does that look like when you're dating? So you're not wasting time on people that just ain't even need to have been past date one or
Right.
date 3, right? So that's what happens, we don't know, we're learning, which is good, right? We're
Mhm.
learning, but sometimes we get entangled in stuff that probably never should have been. Like, I think about
Right.
some of my friends, I'm like, "He should have never left Tuskegee. He should have just stayed right down there in Tuskegee and
Yeah,
never get a
yeah.
husband."
Yeah, no, yeah, but since I got some friends that's still in the Tuskegee frame of mind. They're doing really well, but they haven't matured in that level or whatever. I think it's like nowadays in society or whatever, it's like pushing a lot of singleness or whatever. But I think, in order to be successful, like, as a man or a woman, I think it's better when you have that partner with you. You know what I mean?
You know what? I believe that same thing. That's why I became a dating and relationship coach. I believe that a lot of our healing comes from getting in right relationships, right?
Hmm.
Because they're going to be a mirror to some of the things, our wounds and things like that. And if you allow the relationship, especially a healthy one, to flourish, there's a lot of healing that could come up for you if you will just
Hmm.
allow it to happen. Allow some of those things you didn't know that were there. Like, oh shoot, I didn't even know it. I thought I got rid of it.
Right.
You allow it to happen, right?
Right.
So I here's the thing too, singleness is good too, right? I think
Right.
that you're being if you do like the right type of work in your singleness, then you're married and you're fulfilled, right? And you figure
Right.
it
Right.
out,
Right.
then your relationship quality, if you get two people who've done that, your relationship quality just goes up,
Right.
right? I think I had a quote from the Journal of Marriage and Family. I think it's like folks who, vet through their personal, values and they feel fulfilled, 67% have better relationships in their marriage,
Oh,
right?
okay. Because
Right.
they get to know themselves first.
Yes. And you can still be dating and getting to know yourself, right?
Right. Right.
You can still date, but it's just being intentional about learning about yourself. And I think that's really the problem. We just don't, that's not something that's taught. You just go through school and maybe you stumble across somebody who does some self development and work and maybe you get into it, maybe you don't. But
Right.
I think if we had something that focused on that, I think relationship qualities would be better.
Hmm. Yeah, no, yeah, and I'm all for like like couples being together, but also you're absolutely right though. You do have to like know yourself, and even though I think relationships are good, I mean, like, yes, it is good for you to get to know yourself and love yourself first
Yes.
before you can end up loving somebody else, whatever. Because if
Yeah.
you have like a lot of skeletons, the issues that you haven't dealt with, you're just gonna push those issues on to that next person, and then it just becomes like a repeat cycle over and over and over and over again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like so what when women come to you, what are some of the things that they ask you? I know you say the men. I could probably already tell the men probably ask you like, oh, how can I get her to like me, or what am I doing wrong, whatever. But I'm curious as to what do women ask?
Well, a lot of them want to get into relationships. Maybe some of the women may, like I had some clients, she was a widow, right? So
Hmm.
she had been 6, 7 years without really dating. And so I think there was something within that says, hey, I kind of want to date again, right? So, but there was some fear there, right?
Hmm.
Like last time she was dating, it was the 90s. And so
Oh
now it's
wow,
kind of
they
like,
can't be fearful starting the process of getting to know somebody all
mhm.
over again, and then it doesn't work out. You're like, man, what in the world? You know what I mean?
Right. Like, how do I kind of get myself out there? Or some of them may be, hey, they done had so many, unfortunate events that happen in relationships that kind of soured them. So they want one, but they know they need to do something different, right? And
Right.
so sometimes we have to start from an inner working or perspective place before we could even get you out there again. So there's some inner work we got to do. And those are typically the ones like, hey, I'm on a relationship break. I know I need to do something different. Hey, I done had all these bad relationships, but I kind of want to do something different. I kind of like your content. I don't know what, but can you help me?
Oh, okay. And so what I'm gathering is just like a lot of women pretty much are like we're coming to you, even though they want relationships. They really coming for help to find themselves,
Well,
to
they
figure
don't
out what
know.
they really like. And is that right? Or
Here's the thing, they don't know that. You know
hmm.
what I'm saying? They don't know that's what is the answer. They just want a man and they want to figure out a way to do it. But, the way that I take them through is a journey of self as well as how to date and maybe, tools to help you navigate and vet for the right type of man for you.
Hmm.
Right. So we
Right.
have to kind of understand you mindsets that you have to get over, beliefs that are holding you back. A lot of us
Mm.
got mama and daddy issues, so we have to navigate some of those of how we see relationship from our caregivers. So there's a lot that goes into it, but of course when I have clients, I just listen to them and not only just listen, but I kind of use some spirit
Hmm.
is I'm
Right.
trying to uncover what's really holding you back from getting what you want, which is I want a healthy relationship or I just want some XYZ type of man. Like, let's figure out what's going on.
No, this is really cool concept you got because I'm all for like building a community and getting people like relationships. There's too many people just roaming around in the wilderness or whatever, and it's just kind of like,
All these lone
we
wolves.
gotta we gotta get out of that love in the club concept or whatever. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like, I mean, I always tell some of my friends, like, hey man, like, they always have stories of like, oh, I thought this or I thought that. Well, I'm like, how about changing it up a little bit, man? You ever thought about
Right.
like, going to a political event to meet somebody, or meeting somebody at a charity, or meeting somebody at the library, or well, I mean,
Yes.
something other than, hey, yeah, we going out this weekend. I might meet somebody. Well, I'm like, well, you out there in the same spot, and they're in the same spot. But you know what though? What I've come to find is that like if you meet somebody at like a club or something like that, that's not really meeting somebody that might have the same hobbies and interests that you have because I mean, a club is just kind of universal. Everybody there love. Like, say for instance, you're interested in, I don't know, going to museums.
Mhm.
Well, if you are a young lady, all the men there, probably in the museums as well. And the men, if
Mhm.
you're there and you meet some young ladies, they're probably in. So that's something that you can build off of instead of
Right.
she likes Jack and Coke. I like Jack and Coke. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah,
Mhm.
so I think that's a good thing to do. So do you talk to like couples already, or is it just young ladies that are trying to find someone
So,
or
yeah,
trying to
so
discover themselves?
yeah, I primarily deal with singles, so, not
Okay,
couples, but
okay,
singles,
okay,
so
okay,
mostly single women and single men. So,
okay.
I guess that's where I found my jam at, where I was like, I really like, the introspective work, but I also want to help you get out there and have a really fun dating life because a lot of people don't have fun dating. Dating should be fun, right? I mean, of
Hmm.
course we all run into some bad dating behavior from others because they don't, either they know better or don't care, or, hurt people. So what I want to do is I want to help singles so that you can still have fun and just learn different individuals to say, okay, which one, I'm feeling like this could be a good match for me. And they're feeling like, oh, this could be a good match for me. And we meet and it's like, oh, let's explore that together. And what does that look like? Right. And
Well,
so,
how much? Well, let me ask you a question. Well, how much dating is like too much dating? Because, like, say for instance, you date multiple people, and then you start feeling a whole bunch, you start feeling like two or three people. I mean, can that kind of like
right,
complicate things a little bit? Like me, I'm all for like if I'm dating a person, I'm not gonna date multiple people. You know what I
right.
mean? Because it's like with everything that I do, business wise and all that, it's just too many. I've already got to deal with too many personalities, and trying to discover somebody that is just too much. You know what I mean? Now, when you're younger and all you gotta do is worry about class and school and then that's different. But like when you're older or whatever, how does that work? Being able to, and for
Mm,
guys, that is really expensive. Dating a lot of different people at one time or whatever, because generally, we're paying for everything.
right.
So that's a lot of that's a lot of money right there, man.
So I think rotational dating is good, but it depends on how you classify dating, right?
Hmm.
So me is you're dating, you're with let's say one person,
Hmm.
um, and you guys are getting to know each other to see, hey, do I want to be exclusive? But before you actually figure out who is that one person, I advise women and shoot even men why don't you get to know a couple of different people to see who is that one person? And
Hmm.
you could do that through just having conversations. So if you work with the coach like me, you can do that really quickly. A couple of
Hmm.
weeks, you can figure out, you
Oh,
know,
so you showed them the tools and the techniques to weed people out.
yes,
Oh, okay. Now I ding, ding,
yes,
ding. Okay, now I get it. All right. So
yes,
yeah, because I'm thinking like, man, that's
right.
a lot to be dating a lot of
Now,
different people.
that's one part that's one way of rotational dating. Now, there are other folks that actually, they prefer to date multiple people, right? So
Hmm.
that means that they are dating you, they're dating, suitor B and suitor C. Like they're really dating these people in whichever way. So that's another way to date. But the way that I really kind of coach, because folks that I work with really just want one person that they
Right.
want to get into a relationship with. So that's why I said there's two ways to do rotational dating where you're dating multiple people and that's what you want for your own, your own discovery, right? There's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that, but I just say with that, you need to disclose that, right?
Right, okay, yeah.
But if you're just trying to get to know and filter out, I don't think you necessarily need to disclose, "Hey, I'm filtering out 2 other guys want." Like, no one needs to know. No one wants to know. Like,
Hey,
'cause that was
I got this questionnaire for you, so you need to at least get 5 of them right.
right.
Yeah, this not gonna work.
He don't need to know that. He just needs to know you're having a phone conversation, you're making it fun, you know, maybe you go on a first date, like, see, does it work? Do you want a second date? Do you know? So those are things that it may progress. Now, with men, I can understand that if you're like, well, I kind of want to see. So I would recommend for men have a longer vetting process. Talk like if you like, wow, I met 3 ladies, talk to them.
Oh, right, right.
Talk to 3 in a couple of weeks, see who you're kind of vibing with, and then that's the one you take on the first date, right?
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay.
You
So
know,
it's a
that way you can
it's a process to this thing. I jumped over a whole hurdle and just went there. I see that see that's what I'm saying. We all need to go to Victoria and figure it out. I'm over here just trying to dive in head first into the deep end without even getting into the shallow and just figuring out which level is for me or whatever, you
right.
know?
And that's what a lot of daters do, right? They just jump in with somebody and then you're like, "Uh-oh, I don't know if I like them," or, "Uh-oh, I just found out some information that, ooh,
Right.
I don't know if I wanna be bothered with that." But if you took time to vet, um, with conversations and you're just like like I said, most when it comes to boundaries, in dating too, what I tell most women is, within 2 weeks, you should be going on the first date with the guy. So if it's
Right.
if you don't see a date coming and he's just talking, then you probably need to kind of look at some other suitors. And so that's why I'm telling men who may be listening, like it's okay to kind of that first week have a phone conversation, talk to him over the weekend, see who your vibe with, see who conversationally wise, like we have similar core values. I kind of want to see this more. And then you just go, right? Go on a
Right.
date. If it's still a vibe, go on the second date and assess it. So by the third date, you can assess if this is someone you actually want to keep seeing, or do you need to go back out into the dating pool
Right.
and pull in some more fish, right?
Right. Hey, you said something earlier, like you said that, like, when you go in a situation, like, when you were caregiving with your mother and things like that, you were saying, like, God told you need to go back to the corporate because there's some things that he had that you still need to learn before you
Mm.
start your platform for. So what skill sets did you bring from the corporate banking into what you
Yeah.
have going on right now?
Mean, all of it. So like, I learned how to be a professional, right?
Gotcha.
When you're in corporate America, there is, a framework to doing things, right? So I
Hmm.
learned about seeing frameworks and how to do programs too. Like how do I actually build a program so end user is having a really good experience? So essentially, I'm a service provider, so I want to make sure that my clients um have the right type of service for me from meeting me off the internet all the way till coaching, right? All of that matters. And so those are things that you kind of learn because for me, like I've been in finance, risk, all the things like, and I had what I call corporate clients. They're folks that work internally. I have to make
Hmm.
sure they have a good experience. So those are things that you just kind of learn just being in that environment, right?
Hmm.
I was part of the National Associations of Black Accountants, so I learned how to
Wow.
yeah, so I learned from being just a
Jack of all trades. I told you, yeah, this she does it all, man. Hey, she can not only help you with your relationship, she can also look over your taxes.
how to build teams, how to see, okay, who would be a good fit here, who would be a good fit there, how I can make it all work so we can accomplish a goal, right? How do I navigate conflicts? So, when you have your business, all those things happen, whether it's a team of one or when you start onboarding people, it teaches you that. So, corporate America not only helps me with um just how to think and how to navigate and critical think, right? Because as a CEO of your own business, you got to pivot, right? You're not just you got to learn how to pivot, like, oh, that ain't all right.
Yeah, no, oh man, you are right about that, man. Yes,
Right,
you are right about that. You can't be afraid to mess up, man. Like,
right.
how many times I've messed up and had to do things like about 10 or 15 times and things like
Mhm.
that, and have to read the section over and over again or
Right.
whatever. So, like, yeah, man, like, everything that you say and everything you do, I mean, like, I'm just very highly impressed. I mean, like, I mean, from your whole setup, from the visuals, from like your whole background, I mean, for everything. I mean, like, when I tell you, you like the first relationship coach I've ever met. I mean,
Well,
like,
look, you got
you
a
see him
good
on
one.
you see him on. I know, I'm just saying, like, you see him on TV or whatever. You know what I mean? But I've
Yes.
never met one. It's almost like, I mean, I never met one, in person, or I never met one. And it's just kind of like I always said, if I had the opportunity to meet one, I was like, I just got so many questions. Like, how does this thing work? So you're in Houston, right, Texas?
I'm in Houston, Texas.
So do you host events there in Houston?
So, I don't host events for my own company, not yet, but
Okay.
I am a singles event host for Jigsaw Dating. So that is a dating, so Google them.
Okay.
It's a, what do I want to call it? It's a dating app that meets in real life, right? So everyone's on the app, but their whole premise here in the United States, because it's a European company, their whole app premise is meeting in real life and building connections through, characteristics. So they want you to meet folks, the real them. And
Hmm.
so I'm the resident host in Houston. So there's two other ladies that I helped bring on too because it was like, oh, these are a lot of events. And so I host singles events for them. So they do like pickleball for singles. They do coffee speed dating, happy hours at different bars.
Oh, so
So
you help promote their events?
yeah, I promote their events and I host their events, and so I get to know different singles through that too. And so, I'm pretty friendly, so I get to hear all the different stories. Like I'm like, well, how's everything going? So I get to hear those stories and learn a little bit about like when I want to host my own events.
Gotcha.
And that's a story of how I even got to Jigsaw Dating. That's a whole story, but I do that. Um, and, promote I think I asked them like, "Hey, if I'm promoting your event, do you guys have a code that folks can use if they, go through me?" And so
Okay, yeah.
they developed one, so everyone has one as a host. So mine is Victoria Host 10 if you look at Jigsaw Dating and want to go. They in every major city.
Yeah, no, I know it's a lot. I mean, I know it's a lot of ski folks and ski. So do you? What's a lot of ski folks in Texas, Houston? I know a whole bunch
Mhm.
of 'em. So do you? Have you ever? Have you talked to any people from Tuskegee that use your services or anything like that? You don't have to say their name. I'm just curious.
Not I have talked to, just so here's how I look at with
See, this is
me.
why we got the platform. We got to connect everybody, man. They didn't even know.
Yeah. So if they've seen me, like they'll maybe have come to one of my free classes. So I do like a weekly class called The Queen's Blueprint How to Choose Your King. And it's really a way because I was just tired of dusty dating and it's free.
Dusty dating.
Dusty dating. And so I created a free class I do every week so that folks can come. So I've had some of my fellow Tuskegeans come to that. But in terms of folks turning it into clients, I haven't had that yet. But do I get the support? Yes. And I
Okay.
appreciate every discovery call. If you just did a call with me and maybe you got a couple of gems from that, or if you became a client, or you just came to class. So yes, I've had folks come to my class.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool because I know Tuskegee is pretty big out there in Texas, and then the Tuskegee Alumni Club. We got one here in Nashville. I haven't I need to get more active and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I'm on like the little they got like a
Yeah.
group me thing where we all talk and stuff like
Mhm.
that or whatever. A couple of them have reached out to be on the podcast platform, and so I've been like networking with them or whatever. But I say that to say all this is because I wouldn't mind later on like having an event, man. I'm gonna, and I mean, and it'll be a mixture of a lot of people that I want to come out and speak. Like I
Yeah.
got one guy that does. His name is Curtis Cannon, and he's with Access Recovery, and he kind of does what you do, but he does it on the men's side, and it's more of like
Ooh.
mental health and things like that. And then of course like Seneca, and then there's some other people or whatever. So I was thinking about like trying to figure out ways to have a forum down here in Nashville to where, like, kind of like networking or whatever, or if we can do it in Birmingham, or hey, maybe we all need to come to Texas. Who knows? But like, I think that would be a really, really good thing. You know what I mean? And to be honest with you, we already have like a home base, a base in there because we got the alumni clubs promoted to them or whatever. So at
Hey,
least have them come out and be like a, alumni mixture or whatever. But yeah, I thought about doing something like that. You know what I mean? Because I think
you
that
probably need it.
you have a lot to offer, and I know I could probably do like 4 or 5 episodes with you because I know. I mean, I know. I just some of the stories that you've probably heard or whatever and things like that. Because I'm really curious about like what like women are like. What's a turn off, or what do they think men aren't doing to meet their expectations or whatever and stuff. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you can have
I
a
tell
girl that
you,
you really like or whatever, and you probably feel like, oh man, I'm doing everything good, everything right. She's kind of vibing, and all of a sudden, Casper. And you're
look,
like, dang,
you
you
know,
just turned to Casper. And I'm like, well, maybe that,
I'll
you know what
tell
I'm
you,
saying? It's
I'll tell you, man, like that would make you like 95% higher than most of the general male population. And you're like, oh, so the first thing is just be consistent, right? So if you consistently call, right? Don't be all about texting someone all these paragraphs and all these
oh
emojis,
yeah.
right? Call and call on a regular basis that kind of works with your schedule, right? And or even communicate like, hey, I really enjoy communicating with you. Is it okay if I call you? Week, every day or every other day? Like, how's that? So ask. And she might say, oh, you know what? I don't mind. Just call me when you want to. It's like, what's a good time to call? Right. So being curious and asking questions will get you far. Right. And being
That
consistent.
yes.
Right. And when I say
Sometimes
curious,
asking questions can be scary because people don't really want the answer if it's not gonna go their way. You know what I mean?
well, in the beginning, all we're doing is getting to know somebody, right? So keep it
Right.
light. Like, hey, what type of music do you like? What's your favorite
Right.
song? So
Yeah.
keep it light and be curious about the other person on the phone. What I found sometimes in just dating, sometimes men get on the phone, they get so excited the girl done picked up and talked. They done talked about their whole self the whole time, right? And you could like, well, she didn't get no
Yeah,
attention.
yeah.
So make sure that it's going, she has time to talk and you listen, ask questions, like actively listen, like not to respond, but to hear what the woman is saying.
Mhm.
If you could do that and be consistent and listen, of course, be a gentleman on the date. You 95% higher than most of the men out
Right.
here on the dating apps, right? Because you're consistent, you're allowing her to get to know you, and you're asking questions and listening and retaining information about her if you're interested, right? So
Right.
setting up the next few dates, like she said that she really likes museums and says, hey, you know what? I found this really cool museum. I thought it would be kind of cool. Would you be interested? Right? Most women's like, wait, you listen to what I like? I sure did.
Right, right. And then but women recipient has to reciprocate that as well though, right?
So what I tell women is this, sometimes, women will get this is where we
Mhm.
have to learn each other. If he says, hey, what do you want to do? Women will get mad, like, is he not listening to me? Does he not hear what I told him that I liked? Why should he not know? I'm like, hey, he just wants to make you happy. So why don't you just give him three things that will make you happy? And if he chooses them, he wins, right? We want to make sure that you like him. Let's make sure he wins, right? So, hey, if you do painting with the twist, walk on the beach, or whatever, go-karting, I'll be really happy. Okay, he
Gotcha.
picks one of those. Like, what kind of restaurant do you like? Um, these are my favorite restaurants. You can pick one, or if there's something that you like, I'm open to that too. I like seafood. I'm allergic to this. So those are the things that can make it easy for women. Like, don't get upset if he asks. He just wants to make you happy, or he hasn't gotten a chance to talk to you long enough, but he's just excited to take you out on a date. Okay,
Right.
just make it simple. Men, listen, so you can surprise the woman. That'll give you brownie points. What, you listen? What? Because your fellow brethren aren't listening.
But I think
Yeah.
that, man, like, in today's climate, man, You know, a man can do everything right or whatever. And nowadays, it's just kind of like, sometimes, women can have that vicious,
Mhm.
streak
Yeah,
as well. And,
yeah.
it's just kind of like, a man, like, especially if you're a man up in age and you have built all of this and you have all these assets,
Mhm.
it's just kind of like, it's just kind of like you kind of are short with like you almost like you become impatient. It's like
Yeah.
it's like, all right, okay, I already know where this is gonna go. I've been down this before. And it might not be, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, I don't
You got
know. I just feel like, it has bridging that gap is just very important. And you said something that was really good. Like, you have to ask questions. And I think a lot of
Mhm.
men have to get over that hump of asking questions. You know what I mean? Because you can be in a business deal when it comes to that bank account, you're gonna ask questions when it comes to closing
Right.
that deal, but it should be the same way. You know what I mean? Asking questions.
Mhm.
So I guess you should treat it like a business transaction.
I mean, if that's what it takes, like, here's the thing, marriage is the only license you ain't got to take no class for, right? Every
Wow. Yeah.
you just go in there, just don't take no tests, and just pay your $50, sold,
Right.
right? So, do you do like, how do you enter into, like, a deal? Like, you kinda wanna get to assess. So, like, if this is someone you wanna invest in, essentially,
Right.
you are investing into this person, so you wanna say, "Okay, what are some of your core values?
Right. Right.
How do when you get upset, like, how do you navigate that with, your significant other? And then you listen to people's personal stories too. That's why I said,
Right.
then
Right.
assess, like, what are they telling you, right? Oh, hey, you shared about that. I said, is that something, because you sound like you were young. Like, what did you learn from that? Right? Listen to what they say. And then a lot of times we can navigate ourselves out of stuff when we kind of listen and we assess and we sit quietly with ourselves, like, okay, is this someone do I want to take it to the next level with?
Hmm.
Like, hey, I want to date them exclusively. If no, just say, that's just a conversation, and just says, hey, and this is what I tell some of the folks when I do dating events, and, maybe one person wants to exchange numbers and the other person doesn't. Hey, it was really nice connecting with you, but I'm not interested in connecting, I'm not interested in exchanging numbers at this time.
And you got to be okay with that. You got to put
Right?
all, yes, you have to be okay with that. You
Right.
have to, and I think, oh man, I think with guys, man, it's a little tougher to get. Like we're used to hearing no, because it's like
Mhm.
even the guy that you see might be lucky with 30 women, he probably got rejected by 80. You know what I'm saying? So well, I'm just saying, like sometimes you might think a guy's like, oh man, he's really good with the ladies, but you only see the ones that he around. You don't see the ones who told him like get lost or beat it or
Right.
whatever. You know what I mean? But I guess men and women have to be comfortable with rejection and not take it personal. You know
Not
what I
take it
mean? Because
personal.
sometimes that rejection can be saving everybody a long-term hurt and pain. You know
Right.
what I mean? So like, hey, I think you're a cool person, but this is just not going to work. But it was nice meeting you. Maybe
Yeah.
we could do business. But you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, and
Don't
people
do
have to
it.
be okay with that. You say what now?
Don't you go doing business with the person you just rejected. Let that
Well,
lady
but you know what
know.
though, but like just because, like for example, if I like somebody romantically and they didn't like me, but say for instance, like so I'm a realtor. And like, say for instance, I was interested in somebody, and this is before I know they needed a house, and they didn't want anything romantic with me, but they're looking for a home. I'm not going to turn down that, just because it didn't work. I would help them, as my profession, help them, get the home that they want, and then wish them the best. And let bygones be bygones, but it won't be no ill will because of that. You know what I'm saying? Just because somebody doesn't like you romantically or intimately like that, it doesn't mean that you can't like, if there's a charity event and they doing something good for like the community or like kids, what you gonna be
Mhm.
like, well, they told me no, I ain't going over there to help them kids. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm not going over there to help build that community or whatever. You just wasn't their person. You know what I mean?
It just gets messy, Travis.
I get what you're saying. I'm not saying you got to be best friends with them or
It just
anything like that, but
it just get real messy, especially.
really, you think so?
Mhm. It gets really messy.
Really? I think
Sometimes some
well, I
people.
think would be if someone is in attracted to me or interested in me, I'm not gonna take it personal. But
Right.
if like they're hosting a charity event and like, I'm not going there to see like say they're interested in a cause that I'm interested in and I know I'm going to see them there. You know what I'm saying? And they are hosting one half of the charity event. I'm not gonna say, well, no, I'm not going there because that person rejected me. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like what I
That
mean.
Yeah, that's different. That's like a public event.
Right,
If
right,
you're
right, right,
there,
right, right.
I'm there. What I'm saying is, it's like, let's say you had romantic intentions and then you want to downgrade the relationship to, a friendship, or, even downgrade it lower to just a business associate. This is a human being that had feelings for you, right? Or
Oh,
developing feelings, right? And
oh,
so maybe
okay.
they want to hold on to it. That this isn't everybody. Some people can really keep it, platonic, but maybe you can, but maybe the other person's thinking like, well, maybe if I'm his friend, or maybe if I'm his thing, maybe this will butt
Gotcha.
into
Okay.
something. And
Okay.
so when it
Okay.
doesn't,
Okay. I see
the
what you're
person,
saying.
you're like, well, why are they acting so strange? I don't understand.
Got you. Got you. You need to make
Right?
sure that they on that maturity level to be able I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, but for me, man, I'm just kind of like, well, hey, man, if I mean, if you want a house and it's $3 million, you can still call me.
I
Hey,
get that. I get that. I get
you
that.
know what I'm
And
saying?
then,
Like,
let's say you get you a significant other and you got all these, array of women friends that you used to date. How are they going to
well,
feel with,
I wouldn't hang around. I mean, look, okay, but I wouldn't hang around them. Like then I'm not hanging around them or
I
whatever. But like,
mean,
what if somebody you was dating is a doctor and they're a good dentist or whatever? You got. I
why
mean,
we,
for example, like I'm pretty sure you've had boyfriends in the past. Like let's just say
mm-hmm,
you had a boyfriend like in your 20s and he is a dentist right now, and that's the only dentist you know. Are you not gonna go to
mm,
him because you know what I'm
no,
saying? Like you're not.
I'm going to Google another dentist after going to that dentist. Let him stay in the past with whoever, let him stay on his island. And
Gotcha, gotcha.
I'm moving forward, because here's the thing. Now, this might be
I
Victoria
get that
Pittman.
moving forward. You're right about that. Yeah.
Yeah, this might be just me. I know I've met folks that's challenged me on this, and I'm okay to be challenged. But I feel though, if you've had a romantic connection and you decided to part ways, then part ways, or at
Well,
least,
see, I'm not saying if it was a long term. I'm thinking like if you had a meet and greet or whatever.
right,
And I'm not, if y'all dated or whatever and it didn't work out or whatever, now that's different. But if it's
yeah,
something like, you going to a singles group and, y'all having a pickleball event and, they doing a speed date, then you be like, oh, yeah, I'm not interested or whatever.
hmm,
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. Now, if it's something that lasted for a little bit, that's different. But
yeah,
if it's something just like, where you saw them at a singles event and one person might, hey, you want to go out, no, I'm good, I don't really want to go out, but it was nice meeting you know what I mean,
yeah.
like in that
Now
situation.
that situation, okay, you know what I'm saying? That's okay, because, I'm looking at the depth of the connection, right?
Right, okay,
Even
I
if
see
it
where
was
you
a
looking at
short
it from. Yeah.
time, yeah, even if it was a short time, sometimes even if it's short, how you felt and how they felt may have been really deep, for whatever reason. So it could have been, I've met people who done had, like, seem like they done had a whole relationship in them 3 months.
Oh yeah, man, yeah, yeah, that's crazy.
They done did
Yeah,
a vacation, they done moved in together,
see,
broke
that's too
up,
much.
bought a dog, and you be like, "Well, how long you been dating them?"
That's
It's like,
somebody that's people who hadn't gotten over like certain things or whatever. You know what I mean? That's just insane.
yeah,
But like I totally get where you're coming from. Well, Victoria, I could talk to you for hours and hours on hand. I mean, like I'm over here looking like, man, okay, I got so many. We are definitely going to have a part two of this. I'm going to
yeah,
make it happen. Before we go, let everybody know what you are again, your title again, how they can
yes,
find you, your social media plugs and everything like
yes.
that, and how they can connect with you.
Yes, again, so I'm Victoria Pittman. I'm a dating relationship coach, and I'm the owner and founder of the Vibrant Society. And so you can find me, one at my website, which is www.thevibrantsociety.com. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I post very frequently. So Victoria Pittman, look for, PMP, CPC, or Instagram. what is it? Vibrant Society Social Club. No, Social Connection. Wait, hold on. Edit that one. Um, for Instagram, I was like, wait, what is it? So to connect with me on Instagram is Vibrant Society Social Hub. So you can find me there. And again, I do free discovery calls if you just want to connect, and I do a weekly free masterclass, the Queen's Blueprint: How to Choose Your King. If you're just curious about me and want to come, but you're not sure if you want to, meet me one on one, just come.
Okay, that's what's up, guys. So everybody knows how to meet her and find her. And I'm sure everyone's gonna have a lot of questions. And don't be bashful. Make sure you give her a call or reach out, because you could tell she has a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. And what's special about it is that she's willing to share it. She has a free masterclass, and then you can even give her a call and she can talk to you and things like that. So
Mhm.
make sure you reach out. We always talk about using your resources. Well, this is a wealth of knowledge and a very, very valuable resource that
Yeah.
you can use to aid you, get you the love of your life.
Yes, that's what we're looking to do.
All right.
And you become the love of your own life too.
Yeah, there you go. That's even more important. Well, once again, it was good to have you on, and like I always tell people, or I always say, make sure you keep it country, keep it cowboy, and God bless America. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for inviting me. I had fun.
All right.